goes out to my mother, Beverly K. Jacobs.
All right, this one is called The Migration from the Dark Ages.
Let her know that
Migration, M I
we
G
live by faith
R
and not by
A
sight.
T I O N, from the Dark Ages. Now, anybody knows what migration is? It definitely is to move. It's to move from from one area to another. Ducks kind of do it every year. You know, to migrate. We see them as they make a little V sign in the sky. Normally, when you see them making a little V sign in the sky, they're all little birds in formation. They normally are migrating at that point. I mean, they leave because normally they leave when it gets cold in one area. They'll migrate to another area where it's still warm. The sun's still out, and so they'll go there. So that's what migration is. And then we have dark ages. I know you heard about the old school dark ages. They said we're living in the time of the dark ages. Anybody knows the dark ages? So anybody knows what that means?
Is that like medieval times?
Yeah, it was right before the medieval times. It definitely was right before the Renaissance time. It was a period of time when the Romans had finally fallen, and their whole kingdom had finally broke down, and they went into the Dark Ages. And then right before that, it came out was the Renaissance period at that point. So they was dismantled during that time. But that's not necessarily what it actually meant. Dark Ages. So today we will have an understanding of what the Dark Ages mean for us. And even in those days, that's what it actually did mean. You know, Dark Ages represents something like it'll be like the Statue of Liberty. Um, and I always notice that on every one of those statues, what is the most thing that you always notice about like even a Statue of Liberty? Uh, um, and most statues that the Edomites normally make of people, what is kind of the always the main thing with all of them?
Bible,
Hmm?
the chains, going up, going like.
Well, not because not all the figures, not all the statues have something in their hand. But most of the statues that they normally make back in those days, they always kind of had the same little main thing that I kind of noticed. And I don't know if you noticed it too. To me, what I always noticed that they always had was the clothing, right? Like the Statue of Liberty. What does she really have on? What is that? What do you call that?
Sheep.
Like a sheet, right? Right. And so, but it's funny because that represents America. So you always wondered, like, um, what type of clothing was that? You know? Um,
That's from the Greeks, right?
yeah, it was something that we always kind of did. It was for a funny thing because they kind of got it from sheep per se. Because sheep always have the face out, the little feet, but then it always kind of have the body full of the wool, right? And so what it would represent would be like a cloud covering the body, right? In essence, symbolically, for a sheep. So during that time, when you normally see them like that, or the Statue of Liberty, they call that what they have on the Dark Ages. And you said, well, what? That's kind of weird. No, it don't make any sense. But let me explain it to you. During the Dark Ages, it's always a period of uncertainty because you don't know what's underneath. You don't know. You see it so much all the time in your lives, and we see it in modern days, especially whenever you get around new buildings being built. They kind of always do what to it around it, cover it up. So they normally have a tarp or something always going around it, and so you can't really see what's going on. So they call it the Dark Ages because it was under what you call at that point under Reconstruction. So even the Statue of Liberty was actually telling you that even America was under what? Reconstruction. So it was under what you call trying to figure what it shall become. So America was always what you consider at a it sought for what you call identity. Anyone that was brought over here from whether it been through slave trades, whether it been through people coming from other countries and stuff, they normally migrated, what you call migrated to America in hopes of a brighter future, right? But the thing about it is, America in itself is under construction. Many people come through here with their version of what America will look like in the future. Now, all the other lands surrounding America, they have what you call identity. But America, to be honest with you, never has. Because everyone who ever came to America say, first and foremost, you can be whatever you want to be in America. Right? There's no limitation. Whatever you do, whatever you could imagine, you can become that in America. So because of that, America remained without a true identity. Because it's just a mixture of people who make it go. The question is, go where? So everyone goes to school, everyone goes to colleges, everyone gets degrees, everyone builds, everyone works, everyone labors. But laboring for what? Now that what is what's behind the tarp or the clothing or the wool? That's what you saw always talking about, don't pull the wool over your eyes, right? That's what it means. It's a sense of not knowing what's going on. It's a curtain, but it's a closed curtain. No one knows what America will be, even right now. That's what makes it so uncertain. Even right now, today, in 2025, you don't know what America is becoming because you never did. America is the only place in this world that doesn't have a true identity. It doesn't. Everyone thought, well, is it going to be all white? Is it going to be all Mexicans? I mean, just being honest, I mean, you don't know what America is becoming, right? No one does. Because one thing we do know, America is always constantly what?
Changing.
Exactly, it's constantly changing. The landscape is constantly changing. One day we call it this street, next day we call it that street. Even streets change. Neighborhoods what? Change. And every time you turn around, something that used to be there is no longer there, is replaced by something else. And only for that to get what? Replaced. And you kind of ask yourself the questions, if you ever thought about it, is we all working, but what are we working for? Because what shall this place called America become? That's why you have what they call revelation, because eventually the Statue of Liberty takes off the curtain. And then you will finally know what it was America's been building all this time and working towards. We have so many presidents coming and we don't still know what the identity is. We have so many people come in, say this, do that, change this, change that, make new laws, and everything just kind of tossed to and what? Fro. And it's always left at a place of uncertainty. And so that's what you have. That's why I call it Babylon. Because she never had no true identity. Never did. Right? But migration, you got those that are migrating into it, but no one knows the true vision for what America will become as a nation of people. What are we here to become? And that's the question you will ask yourself. What are you here to become? Because we know the world, this land, this nation is changing and it's always changing. But when it's like, remember Ultron? How Ultron always kept tearing down his old bodies to make a new body, and he was never comfortable with that body, then he would tear that body down. That's basically what this country does all the time. And you just kind of going with the flow of whatever it's changing into. Even right now, you're at a change. That's what I call it, the dark. So basically, America is right now under the what? The dark ages. It's a period of darkness, meaning when no one knows what it is. Whenever it's darkness, it means because there's no identity. That's what makes it dark. No one knows who's who. All right. Go to Matthew 9, 1 through 13. Matthew, let me see. All right. He says, and he entered into a ship and passed over and came into his own city. And behold, there brought to him a man sick of the palsy, lying on a bed. And Yahushua, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, thy sins be forgiven thee. And behold, certain of the scribes said within themselves, This man blasphemeth. And Yahushua, knowing their thoughts, said, Well, wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? For whether it's easier to say, Thy sins be forgiven you, or to say, Arise and walk. But that you may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. So then said he to the sick of the palsy, Arise, take up thy bed, and go unto thine house. And he arose and departed to his house. But when the multitude saw it, they marveled and glorified Yah, which had given such power unto men. So this is be the premise. He saw a man. Now, this man that he saw was actually going to show you who he really, Intel really was talking to. It's not necessarily the man that he healed that is symbolic to who he's about to deal with. And so he was sharing that this man was in a state of sickness. Sickness that he was plagued. So plagued to the point where all he could do was stay on this one particular bed. So he was bedridden. Now, whenever you bedridden, you can't do what? Can't really do anything. Right? Meaning your hands are what? Tied. And so he's at this state in his life where his hands are tied. He can't do anything. He's being plagued by demons and devils, and which making him sick to the point he can't really do anything. And so, of course, Yahushua told him that, oh yeah, so arise and what? Walk. Now, when he's telling him to arise, he's telling him to come from a state of that bed. Arise where? Out of what? Out of that bed. Now, we know according to symbolic what the bed represents. Bed represents the bed or the garden bed of your mind. And we know the mind represents the imagination. So he's telling him at this point, his mind has a lot of what in it? A lot of clutter. A lot going on. To the point his hands are what? Tied. So that's why he tells him, so arise, meaning arise out of the dust. Arise out of that state of being. Be set free and do what now? Walk. Yeah, let those things, those restraints stop restraining you now you're able to now walk. Now he tells him to walk to a certain place though. And that was the catchy part too. He tells him, arise, take up your bed, and go into your house. Now, when he's telling him to take up thy bed, he's telling him to take up what? The sickness, right? Or whatever is plaguing him, he wanted him to learn how. When he said take up your bed, that means he was going to pick the bed up, roll it up, put it under his arm, and he was going to walk with it like a newspaper, rolled up newspaper, back to his house. So at that point, it's telling you that man is no longer allowing the bed to rule what? Over him, and he was going to roll up and he was going to what? Rule over it. Exactly. And then he tells him to go to his own house, right? Because at this point, he's laying out where? Outside, out in the what? The public eye. So he tells him to go to his own house, which represents for him to go back to his people, right? That he no longer had to be a spectacle to everyone, every passerby that came through there. He no longer had to be, made a laughing stock or a spectacle to everyone who passed by, right? And he learned now to go serve who? Yeah. And no longer, right? So like I told you, in this story, in this symbolicness of healing this man, is really was trying to tell you who he was really about to heal. So we just have to keep reading. So let's go to 9. And as Yahushua passed forth from thence, he saw a man named what? Matthew. Matthew. Anybody know who Matthew is? Matthew is one of the what?
Disciples.
One of the 12 disciples. Yes. So he says his name was Matthew, and he was sitting at the receipt of customs. So basically they was calling Matthew, his job was a tax collector. An accountant for the government. Right? Another word for him would be a publican. Like you had the word republican. But he will be considered a publican because he's doing what? A public what?
Service.
A public service. It's public. So he works for what? The people. Anytime they say you're a public servant, you work for what? You work for the people. You're a servant of the people. So that's who Matthew was at the time, right? A servant of the people.
Mm.
Now, when they talk about the people, you have to understand who the people are, because that's the thing. They don't never, they never, one thing about the devil is very vague when he speaks. That's the thing you always know about the devil in this conversation. It's always a vague conversation. It's a very open-ended conversation. It's a very open-ended sentence. He never closes none of his sentences. For that very same reason why that man was going through what he was going through, being plagued on that bed. Because he had so many things dealing with him. They kept him bedridden, which was a bunch of different devils. So he can be one of the ones who had legion in him. Right? A bunch of devils and demons operating. That's why he was bedridden. He couldn't do anything. He was bound by all those people in his life. So in that point, he was what you consider what? A public what? Servant. Yeah, exactly. A public servant. A public servant. So that means he could never operate for Yah because he's too busy what? Serving the public. Exactly. These are the ones that we call like state property. See, these are the ones who don't have, they're not free to operate for Yah because they already have too many ties to public, and the public decides what he does and what they can do and what they cannot do. So at that point, that's why I say it's very open-ended, because that's why they use the word people. He works for who? The people. So anytime they use the word public, he's talking about what? The people. Now, the reason why I say it's very open-ended, the word people is very open-ended because it does not determine what type of people, does it? So when they use the word people, that can mean who? Anyone, right? Good, bad, the ugly, all. Any and everybody we want. And then those that you think I'm not including, I could be including them too. But how do you know? Because I use the word what? People to describe them. And we know it's all sorts and types of what? People. Excuse me. So when they use words like public and people, stuff like that, doing it for the public or doing it for the people, you got to understand, you need to always know exactly who are you talking about. Now, the difference between public and people, Yahusha had dropped the word, this is the difference. For us, we have what they call the gospel. Now, the word gospel is different. You say, what you mean different? Because the gospel was preached and taught and directed to only a certain set of people. A certain person. That's the difference. They don't tell you that because they don't want you to know that. The word gospel does not mean to all people. The word gospel, even in itself, is directed to a certain listener. To a certain listener. It's not directed to everyone. How do you know? Because he said, he who has an ear, what? Let him hear. We know he's talking to a certain set of people at this point. Because everyone don't have a what? An ear to what? To hear. So that's obviously telling you he's directing and he's made it very concentrated who he's definitely talking to. Now, they use very vague words to include any and everybody, and that's how you start getting demons in the first place. When everything and all things are included. Right? Your door is not big enough for all people. But it is big enough for certain what? People. Now, when he met Matthew sitting as a publican, meaning one who serves the public, he said unto him in verse 9, follow me. And he arose and what? followed him. See, that's that word arise. See, but this time he used the word what? Arose. Arose. But it's the same thing. It means to get up out of that state and what? And walk. Same thing. You see it? Follow me means walk. Same thing he just told to that man. You see that? That was on the bed. So in essence, he was really talking about Matthew. And it came to pass, as Yahushua sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans. See, that's how you knew Matthew was a what? A publican. That's why you get Democrat and what? Republican. See, now you mean these are the ones who work for the what? The public. They work for who? And the public is the who? The people. But it does not make it specific what type of people he's talking what? About. So that's very vague. He says, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto him, why eateth you your master with publicans and sinners? Talking about, Matthew and them. But when Yahushua heard that, he said unto him, they that be whole need not a physician, but they that are what? Sick. So he was telling you that Peter was what? Sick. Because he was being plagued by who? The public. So every time Matthew wanted to do something, he couldn't because he already had a previous engagement that he already had to do. When you're working for the public, like a public library, and then everybody can what? Come in there, right? That's what that means. So he's that library, but then everybody can come in and just take from him, take from him, take from him. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And he can never do anything for Yah because he's being always pulled apart by everyone that wants his services to be rendered to them. Right? So that's how Matthew was at the point. That's why Yahushua pulled him out of it. And so that's why he says those type of people are sick to Yah. But Yah says, I am the physician that pulls out the plagues. I heal the sicknesses. Right? Mm-hmm. He says, 13, but go ye and learn. When they asked him why was he hanging with them, he said, go ye and learn what that meaneth. I will have what? Mercy and not sacrifice. For I am not come to call the righteous, but the sinners to what? Repentance. So this is right here when he made it. If you read the language in 13, you will just understand at this point, Yahushua made it very certain who he was dealing with, didn't he? Mm-hmm. If you read it over, he said, go ye and learn what that meaneth. I will have mercy and not sacrifice, for I am not come to call the righteous, see, but what? Sinners to repentance. So he made it very select who he was dealing with, who he was going to heal, who he was going to work with. He was not considered a public what? Servant. He was not considered a public servant, though they try to make it seem like he was. He said, I'm not coming to call these people, but I'm coming for this set of people. I'm come to deal with these, give them services. That's what I mean. I come to do service for these. So who was the service he came to do? He said, first of all, you will know, because he said, I will have mercy and not sacrifice. Now, to have mercy, that must meant that they used to be in a certain place, right? And then they what? They messed up, right? Mm-hmm. And so Yah says, now, I will have mercy. So mercy just meant that I'm about to what? I might have fired you, but then I just what? Hired you back. Exactly. That's what mercy means. Meaning I didn't fire you and then just did away with you and replaced you with others. No. I cast you off and then I came back and what? Called you right and reached out to you and gave you back your what? Exactly. That's what he meant. So when he called Matthew, that tells you right then and there that Matthew already had a what? A job. And he had to come back to his what? His original job. That was what that meant. That's why he said, I will have mercy and not sacrifice. He brought Matthew back to his original what? Job. And called him out from being a public what? Servant. See? Because now, when he lost his first job, he failed, and then he had to become public what? Property. So Yahushua pulled him what? Back out of that and brought him what? Back to his original position. And how do you know? Because he says, for I am not come to call the righteous, but sinners to what? The key word is what? Repentance. To repentance. Excuse me. Well, how do you know that he brought him back? Because listen. If y'all have been to school, when you ever had to do English language and spelling classes, you had to understand they always use what they call correct grammar and things like that, right? I'm a big fan of it because I was educated too. So there are certain words that we know have a meaning, right? Like for instance, repentance. The first two letters is what? Re. Now, what does re mean? To do again. To do again. So that means in order for you to do something again, you had to have first done it before. So the word repent means to redo what you supposed did have done what? The first time. That's why he says, I will have mercy and not sacrifice. Meaning I will not sacrifice them to what? Public what? Sacrifice meaning to give them over to what? To the public. As a what? Sacrifice. Exactly. I am not going to sacrifice them to the public and let them have their way. But I will redeem. I will repent. And you notice the word re. Restore. Right? Another one is, one of your favorite words to hear is that you're going to get a what? A reward. A reward. Now, the essence of reward, we already established that means to have it once again. Ward means like a prison what? Ward means, and the ward comes from warden, meaning the head of what? House. Meaning the warden is the head of the prison what? The prison house. So once he receives his ward, that's like a watchman that watches over what? The people, right? So when he says give you back a what? Ward, he's putting you back in what? Your position. So reward mean go back to your original what? Position. That is your reward. Yes. Ward is a place. It is an office that you hold. Right? So then came 14 to him to his disciples of John, saying, why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but thy disciples fast not? And Yahushua said unto them, can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then shall they fast. Well, you say, well, what does that mean? Well, he's telling them that he's the bridegroom, right? And then you have the bride. Now, the bride, she's a woman, right? Now, we got that title. We know that's a young lady, right? A young damsel, you know. Now, but I ask you, what does bridegroom mean? We know that's the husband, but what is his title? It's in the name, bridegroom. To do what? To groom the bride. Exactly. It means to cut off the access. Because she comes out as, you know, what she is, but he has to kind of teach her a lot of etiquettes. Right? You know, some of the same things your parents like taught you when you was at home, you had to be home trained. Right? You was taught things like manners, right? Courtesy, right? Because these things are taught where? At home. And these ain't taught out there. These things you have to go, your parents have to give you these things going forward if you was going to be successful. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Right? And so the man, he grooms the woman as well, teaching her things that in order to make her very what they call chaste. Chaste means to know her lane, right? Because he can not say nothing, and then she gonna be what you call wild, right? I mean, everywhere in everybody's face, doing all things. You know, can't be still, busybody. They will say some words will call it busybody, like right. And so the man has to groom her, like, okay, these people you might not want to fool with. These over here are probably cool. You can hang with them. You know what I'm saying? It kind of give her more of the guardrails that she won't fall. Because if he don't tell her nothing, she gonna think everything's what? Okay. Whatever she wants to do, and then wherever she wants to go. Right? So the bridegroom has to groom her in such a way to make her tailor-made for the situation that she's going to be in. Women are very adaptable to any situation, but it takes a level of grooming, right? So he teaches her from being a girl to how to be a lady. It's a difference, a big difference. Or because you can tell the ones that haven't been taught. Well, how do you know if a girl hasn't been taught? I mean, I'm pretty sure we got many programs of girls who haven't been taught or have never been groomed.
They still act like a child.
They still act we can use words like ratchet. We can use words like just all over the place. Very wild. That's what I mean, very wild. Right? No filter. Right? But it takes a level of a man to groom her, to show her, you know, how to talk to certain people, how to manner, you know, and that's why they call him a bridegroom. To kind of chisel off some of the fat or the unnecessary things that she might have just had. Like wild hairs, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, just the wildness, he kind of gets that wildness out of her. So she knows how to what? Kind of settle down. Right? And that's what a bridegroom does. That's why they call him a groom. It's like a groom will represent like a comb, right? She ain't never had her hair done before. Right, so he got a fine stroke it with a fine tooth comb and stroke her down to get all access, all the knots out, all the cake of bugs. You know, he got to fine tune it until it's very stroked to the point. You see any animal that once it's been brushed and taken good care of, right? It look way more immaculate than if you just let it just run around out there do what it want to do, right? Think about it. I mean, like a wild horse, right? I ain't never had a bath. I ain't never been brushed. And, you know what I mean? In a wild, it's gonna be wild. But once it has been taken in and taken very good care of, you see the difference. Tame. Very tame, very very respectable, very honorable, to the point where everyone looks at it and be like, "Wow," you know what I mean? That transformation, wow. You know what I mean? Or you can do nothing, and it's gonna be just out of control, right? Out of control. And so that's why he says, so that was what he represented to the bride. Now we know the bride he's talking about is Israel. The people is the bride. So Yahushua calls himself what? The bridegroom. Exactly. So therefore, he was the one that kind of, we say, he chastised. He was the one who disciplined. He was the one who fine-toothed Israel to be what Israel had become. Another thing the bridegroom does for the bride, the truth, is give her an identity. She don't have an identity. Why do you think when she finally gets married, she normally takes the last what? The last name of the male, right? Of the husband, in order to give her now what? An established what? Identity. But before, she probably can have just X on the back of her name and then no one knows her from anything, right? But once she gets that last name, it establishes who she is. It establishes her identity, right? That's what that marriage entails. It establishes identity. You didn't have an identity. You didn't have a purpose until you got married, and then you gathered what they call purpose and identity. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's what he was saying. He said, so how can they, if I'm here, the bridegroom says, he says, as long as the bridegroom is with them, but the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then they shall fast. See, now, he's talking about one of the days when it get dark. Because when he leaves, if he's the light, once he leaves, it's going to get what? Dark. See, they mean they go back to the what? Dark ages. Exactly. Now, what happens during the dark ages? Reshaping, remolding, under construction. That's what he's saying. But because he's the bridegroom, he already established what? Identity. So because they already have an identity established during the dark ages, that's why he told them they was going to have to do what in the dark ages? Fast. Fast means keep what you what? Yeah. What you have. And don't allow the dark ages to do what to you? Reform. Exactly. Exactly. Because that's exactly what happens underneath the tarp. We know when we see all the construction going on, oh, they trying to what? Reformation. Exactly. And so that's why you're here. Because everyone's trying to, while they're underneath the darkness of it all, they're underneath the curtain. While you behind underneath the curtain, they trying to reshape you, remold you. They trying to turn you into what they, because remember, America is trying to find a what? Identity. But they need you to what? To go along with it. So they're not just reshaping themselves because they figure that you are part of that change, what? Too. So you must change as we change. But he told you that is when you needed to what? Fast. And don't allow them to what? Turn you. 16 says, so no man put a piece of new cloth into an old garment, for that which is put in to fit it up taketh from the garment, and the rent is made worse. But neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottle breaks, and the wine runneth out, and the bottles perish. But they put new wine into new bottles, and both are preserved. Talking about the person per se. Right? He needs that person to be like a new, that way said, be born what? Again. Right? So that they can receive the proper teachings. Yeah. Right? And not be like those that are trying to bring in old teachings, because the old things were things that he's telling you that were going to perish. Old represents no identity. No identity. But he's trying to get you to the new, where you can understand to have what? An identity. Yah's not, Yahushua and Yah are not coming back for people that don't have no what? Identity. I'm telling you now. 18. So while he spoke these things unto them, behold, there came a certain ruler and worshipped him, saying, my daughter is even now dead, but come and lay your hands on her, and she shall live. And Yahushua rose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, if I may but just touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Yahushua turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith has made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. So he healed another one. Now he went from a man, and now he said a woman, right? But he called her what? Daughter. That was specific. Because she was a child of what? A child of Yah. That's why he said daughter. He's only coming for the children of what? Israel. So he even let you know that she was, definitely in the fold. That's why he made her what? Whole. Whole meaning arise, and you are able to now what? Walk. Whole meaning you no longer have what in you? No darkness. No. That's why I say darkness. Now you getting what that darkness is. What is that darkness? A loss of what? And memory and identity. Exactly, because you don't know who you are and what you're doing. And where you're going. 23. And when Yahushua came into the ruler's house, he saw the minstrels and the people making noise. And he said unto him, give place, for the maid is not dead, but what? Sleepeth. See, the same thing. And they laughed him to scorn. But when the people were put forth, meaning put out, he went in and took her by the hand, and the maid arose. And the fame hereof went abroad into all that land. And that's another moment. So he's giving you all the different states in which Israel is in. Some of us are sleepwalking out here, right? Some of us are sick, full of demons and devils running us around, spreading us thin, right? And this woman right here, who had 12 years, was bound for 12 years. And he did what for her? He made her whole. And when Yahushua departed thence, two blind men followed him, crying, saying, thy son of David have what on us? See? Blind. See, because when you're blind, you don't know where you what? Where you're going. Because, and like I tell people, what does blinded mean? It is to be distracted. So these men were distracted because they was also serving other people. That's what blinded mean. Whenever you're blinded by something that has gotten in your way of your line of sight. So it's an obstruction of something that's in your way. Like a mountain, right? Get out of my way. So then he touched their eyes, and according to that, your faith be it unto you. And their eyes were open, meaning he got whatever it was that they was kept their eyes on that was distracting them. He got it what? Out of their way. And Jesus straightly charged them, saying, see that no man know it. But when they were departed, spread abroad his fame even more in all that country. And he went out, behold, they brought him a dumb man possessed with a devil. Same scenario. And when the devil was cast out, the dumb spake. And the multitudes marveled, saying it was never so seen in Israel. See, that these people were starting to be freed from their circumstances. Things that was driving them crazy, driving them insane, things that was bothering and things. He was healing those things. So that they could have to serve Yah with one mind. Right? And it says, but the Pharisees said he cast out devils through the prince of the devils. Of course, they gonna, they talk down because they calling him a devil because he's able to cast out devils. But devils just represent people who have their own imagination for you. Like I imagine you doing this. I imagine you doing that. That's why they call it sick bed. That's what a sick bed is, because when someone has a bad thought for you, that's sick. That's a sick thought. So they call it a what?
Sick bed.
A sick bed. Right?
Yeah.
And Yahushua went about all the city and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom. See? Preaching and healing every sickness and every disease amongst the people. See, but they want to say that he was people using that he was healing what? Everybody. But it was not. It was not. Not so. It was only the house of what? Israel. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted. Listen to how he says the state of us. He said he was moved with compassion on them because they fainted and they were scattered abroad as sheep having no what? So that's what he means. Because what is the shepherd to the sheep? A guider, we know. So they don't have a future because they have nobody guiding them towards a brighter what? Future. So they lacked at that. But in order for them to have a shepherd, the shepherd of those particular sheep, I told you sheep represented those that was what? Covered in what? Because a sheep was covered in what? Wool. Remember that time I pulled the wool over your eyes? Mm-hmm. So they was meaning that they don't clearly know the path themselves. They don't have no identity. They struggling with identity. That's what he's telling them. They were struggling with it. That's what he said. They were scattered abroad. There's no one teaching them. He said, but when he came, he started teaching in their synagogue. So that is a teacher. What does a teacher teach of Yahushua? Not talking about the teachers out here. Now you're going to understand what a teacher of Yah is. What does a teacher of Yah do? Teaches the children of Israel their what? Identity. That's what a teacher of Yah does. He teaches the children of Israel their identity. That's why he says in 35, when Yahushua went about in all the cities and villages, he was teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel. Now, what is the gospel? Remember I told you, a gospel means it's directed to a certain what? Group of what? People. It's not abroad to any, it's not given to any interpretation. So he's telling you that he was reaching out to a certain set of people and he was teaching them what? Their what? Identity. And that's why he says it right here. But he saw them as people that were scattered abroad, as sheep having no what? No shepherd. There's nobody that's going to teach them their identities. No one's going to tell them what they need to know. So therefore, these children of Israel don't have a what? They don't have a future. You can't have, like I tell people, you can't have a future until you know your what? Beginning. You have to know your origin, your beginnings. You have to know your history. In order for you to know your history, then you can determine and find out where you are now in life. If I know where I came from, then I know where I'm at. Right? I will begin to know what I like, what I eat, what I used to do, what my forefathers used to do, how did they live, where did they live? You know what I'm saying? You need to know your history in order to learn what? Your what? Identity. And once you learn your identity, then you begin to understand your present moment. Then this is when you finally understand your present moment. And in that present moment, understanding now what you're supposed to be through the teaching, then it's clear what direction to move towards your what? Future. Then it is clear what your future looks like. And you start walking every day. Now get up and what? Walk towards that. But you can't do that if you don't know who you are. You just kind of toss to and what? Whatever they say, that's what we're doing. Whatever you say I am, that's what I am. And it's not so. Not so. Okay? And that's why he says, he said Yahushua had compassion on the people when he was looking around at how many other races and heathens and public people was leading these Israel, telling them what to do, where to go, what they can. So, you have two types of people. You have what they call those that sit high. High means they make the laws, right? When they're high, they're called the husband because the husband makes the law. So they call him a bridegroom. He lays down the what? The law. And the bride, the wife, understands the law of the husband. And the law of the husband is what she lives by. So she's able now to execute orders under those laws. She knows her what? Limitations. All right. So, how do you know Yahushua was that bridegroom? Go to Deuteronomy 18. This came out of Moses' mouth. All right. We're going to start at verse 9. He says, and when thou art coming to the land which the Lord thy Yah will give thee, this is before they even made it to the promised land. So now you got to understand what the promised land meant. That's why I told you identity is very important because it starts at the land. The land is where you gather your identity. Why do you think so many people love moving around? Why do you think America is struggling with what? Huh? They're struggling with what? Identity. They are definitely struggling with it. They're struggling with an identity because they don't have a what? Identity. It's because America is not based on no identity because the land in itself is stolen land. It starts with the what? The land. Whenever you went, this is why Yah says, I'm going to take you to the land flowing with milk and what? Milk and honey. Remember that? You ever remember that? Milk and honey. He was telling you, I'm going to bring you to what he called the promised land. Because in that land is where the bridegroom can be born. Now this bridegroom is going to be born there, and this bridegroom is going to show you who you are. And once it determined who you were, his job was done. But that was your blessing to establish you with an identity. And once you had an identity, you became like no other nation or race of people out here. You had your own thing going. Now, Babylon, America is not like that. That's why they always, you notice, Edomites are always going to people's lands, stealing lands. Because what is they trying to do? Establish what?
Identity.
An identity. So they go to your land and say, now I'm you. They go to their land, now I'm them. And they go to their land, okay, now I'm them. That ain't who you are. And so they continue to go to land, trying to use those lands to become the people of those what? Lands. Like they've been doing. Because it tells you clearly they don't have a what? They don't. So that's what they lack. They don't have an identity of their own. So when he says, I'm going to bring there you will be established your identity. Because remember, when we bit the apple, we had lost our what? Exactly. So it was bringing us to the promised land to reestablish that what? Identity once again. That was what Yahushua meant to us. To reestablish that identity. And he did. He did. Because nothing can go forward without an identity. That's your proof. That's your passport. You ain't going nowhere if you ain't got no identity to know who are you. Where you from? See, everyone comes from a land. I mean, down to the drinking water of that land. Down to the apple off that tree of that land. All that food and all that water feeds you and it becomes you, and that's you get the teaching from that land. And it established that's who you are. Down to the drinking water that you drink up out of a lake. From there. All that makes you who you are. But when you go to a new land, it's different, ain't it? They have new rules there, new customs, and the only way they do things. And you're not accustomed to those ways. And they trying their best to make you be what? Accustomed to those ways. Meaning they're trying to break you of who you are to become something you're not. But listen here. When they was headed to the promised land, that's what Moses was telling him. He said, when you get to the promised land, there you're going to meet him. There you will meet him. He's going to be just like me. I mean, it's right here in Deuteronomy 18 if you ever forgot. He says, let's read it, verse 9. And when thou art come to the land where the Lord Yah will give you, there thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those other what? Nations. See, that's what he was trying to tell us from day one. When you get around other people, I do not need you to adapt to their ways. That's what he was telling you first and foremost. I don't need you to adapt to their ways. I don't need you come out here talking like a white boy or talking like, I don't need you come back with, that ain't you. That ain't you. But surely God is your man. No, it's not you. Be yourself. You have an established name. You have an established history. You have and all your stuff. That's why the Bible lets you know that your stuff is what? Established. Where's their book? They don't have no history book. This is our history book. They don't have a history. The only history they ever had was stealing other people's what? History. Exactly. Okay. So he says, verse 9, 10. There shall not be found among you any one that make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. So when it says pass through the fire, it's talking about to be sacrificed to them. That's what it meant. I don't need you turning them into a public what? Servant. Setting them in what? Slavery. That's to make them a what? A public what?
Servant.
Exactly. That's what slavery meant, the fire. Or that use divinations, meaning don't start learning their ways because that's what they use. They like to do tarot cards and, psychics and stuff. Yeah, that ain't what we do. Is that what Israel is established on? No. Or observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with a familiar spirit, or a wizard, or a necromancer. That is exactly what necromancer. I know y'all want to know what does the word necromancer mean. It's called a stiller of what? Identity. See, this is why we have what they call identity theft out here. Because people really do be trying to steal your what? Identity. That's what happens in the dark ages. Because everything's under the cover. Everyone don't know, like you said, you should say they walking around like sheep, but not having no shit. I mean, they don't know where they going. They don't know who they dealing with. Everyone's trying to trick them to turn here, go there, fool with me, join with my crew, join with my family. And then before you know it, everything is mixed and mingled. And it's a sad sight to see. 12. For all that do those things are an abomination unto Yah. And because of these abominations, the Lord Yah do drive them out from before you. It was because of those things that he ran them off. From where? Their lands. See, whenever you don't do right by Yah, he run you off from your land. And when he runs you off from your land, it's a sad sight because then you become a lost sheep. And what's about to happen is that you're about to lose your what? Identity. And once they take that from you, they can call you Toby. But that's the reason why Yah drives them out from their land and gave you the promised land. The land just represents your teaching. Hear me. That you understand that your teachings. It's meaning the land represents your what? Your history. So Yahushua was raised as our history teacher in our land. 13, thou shalt be perfect with the Lord Yah. See, this is the thing about identity. You perfect. As you what? As you are. And you never had to what? Change. See, when Yah makes you perfect, you don't have to change. You don't have to change. Perfect means now you are married. You got a husband. Why you cheating? Why you running out there trying to become something else? You have a last name. You have a surname. You are from a fold. You are from a family. You are from a certain tribe. You don't have to go out there and try to become anything else. Don't lose yourself out there. 14, for these nations which thou shalt possess, hearken unto observers of time. See, this is who they listen to, and unto diviners. But as far as you, Israel, the Lord Yah has not suffered you so to do. You don't have to become like them. The Lord thy Yah will raise up thee unto thee what? A prophet from the midst of who? You. So he's telling you, this man that's going to come to you, he's going to come from where? From amongst who? You. So that even clearly tells you what color he was. Y'all don't don't believe in giving you kings of another color. All of your officers, all of your judges, all of your ministers gonna always be of your color. It's never was gonna be that because they not from that land. So they don't know nothing about you. But they always trying to talk you into becoming like them when you don't need to. You're already perfect. You're perfect. And he says, not only will he be a prophet from the midst of you, of thy brethren. So he's letting you know he's going to be a clear-cut Hebrew too. Like unto me. Like Moses said, and if you don't know, he was looking like me. And I clearly tells you, Moses was a what? Hebrew. I just got to put it so that you can understand. To know. He said, like me. Go to Exodus 9:13. What did he say? The Lord said unto Moses, rising up early in the morning, standing before Pharaoh, and said unto them, thus says the Lord Yah, God of the Hebrews, let my people go, that they may serve me. Now, if anybody don't know, you can Google it. Ask what race Moses was, and it was going to clearly tell you Moses was a Hebrew man. So that's why he said he going to raise unto you of your brethren a prophet, just like of y'all. And then he going to be just like me. I'm Hebrew. So we know who your Messiah was, who your teacher was, who the bridegroom was. Go back to Deuteronomy 18. And he will be 15. Deuteronomy 18 and 15. And unto him you shall hearken. See, you best to what? Listen to him. Because he's just going to teach you who you what? Who you are. According to all that thou desires of the Lord, the Yah in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear again the voice of the Lord my Yah, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And the Lord said unto me, thou have spoken, well spoken, that which you have spoken. So 18 says, I will raise them up a prophet from amongst their brethren, like unto thee, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall what? Command him. And it shall come to pass, whosoever will not hearken unto that man unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will what? Require it of him. That's what he means, vengeance. For everybody that don't do what he said, according to the people who he was speaking to, you will bring vengeance upon yourself. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. All right? So let you know that he was from your land. He says even more so to let you know. Go to Numbers 21, 1 through 9. And when the king of Arad and Canaan, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel come by the ways of the spies, that he fought against Israel and took some of them as prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord and said, if thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel and delivered up the Canaanites. And they utterly destroyed them and their cities and called the name of that place Hormah. And they journeyed from Mount Hor by the way of the Red Sea to come past the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way, meaning having to go through where? Edom, which is the Edom what? Edomites. Having to go around them made our people very discouraged, right? And 5, and the people spake against Yah and against Moses. Wherefore have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? So they were scared of the Edomites, okay? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our souls loathe this light bread. So the Lord sent fiery serpents amongst the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. Therefore, the people came to Moses and said, we have sinned. See, speaking against Yah. For we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he may take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. Now, the serpents he was talking about that bit them was talking about representing the plagues. Because they was plagued. So the serpents represented the Edomites and all adjourning heathen nations that was plaguing you, making you a public what? Servant. In the form of serpents, devils. So when Moses prayed, 8, and the Lord said unto Moses, okay, make me a fiery serpent. Now, if anybody want to know what fiery means bronze or brass colored. A fiery serpent means a bronze or brass colored. Because fiery means it's burnt in the furnace. Furnace makes it looks like burnt gold, which looks like brass or bronze or brazen. So because of that, that tells you the color of the snake was what color? What color is brass? Ruddy, right? So he says, now put this fiery or ruddy snake and set it upon a pole. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is bitten, when he look upon it, shall what? Live. So when he put the serpent, the bronze serpent on the pole, what was he really showing you? Yahushua on the what?
On the pole.
On the cross. As the what? Salvation. For as many that looks at, and I know you're saying, well, serpent, why did he use a serpent?
That's what I'm saying.
Why did he use a serpent? Well, because we know at that point that we have Yahushua has many, many features, if I can be honest with you, or intimate with you. One of the features that Yahushua has is that he can shape shift as well. So he can become anything as needed or as necessary. So he chose at that point a bronze or a ruddy looking snake and put that on the pole because he was showing that that's how he was going to be what? Crucified. But he was telling you that because he chose the symbol of the serpent or the snake, because that was what they was going to call him when he was on that cross. Right? Mm-hmm. So when he was on the cross, what did they call him?
Yes, like
a devil. Remember? Yeah. Remember we just read when he was casting out, what they was calling him? Exactly. And he was telling them, yeah, but they told him, you casting out Beelzebub because you is Beelzebub, right? He was like, okay, you want to call me a devil, a snake, right? You want to call me evil, right? And that they crucified him as that, didn't they? As an evil man on the cross trying to deceive the people. So that's why he chose a ruddy snake. Because that's what they wanted him to be. But he says, but for everyone who believed it in that ruddy snake was going to be what? Healed and saved. For as many that believe, though, will be saved. Call me what you want. But for as many as believe, will be what? Because that's what he did for them. He said, for as many that will look upon it shall what? Live. And Moses made a serpent of brass, so that you know that was fiery meant. 9. And Moses made a serpent of brass and put it on a pole. And it came to pass that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he what? He lived. If you acknowledge who? Yeah. What did Yeshua say in John 3:16? For Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whomsoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have what? That's what he represented on that pole. So it represents the cross. That's why some people say he wasn't crucified on a cross. Some people say it was a pole or just a long stick. It was on. They don't say it was a cross. They just figured that it was just crucified on one pole or one tree trunk. You know what I mean? And not that it was actual or physical cross. I mean, because it could be, because we know when they hang us, they don't never hang nobody on a cross, but they definitely do hang you on a tree, and it'd be like on a limb of a tree. It's not necessarily, like that. So it's possible that it could have been a pole and not an actual physical cross. But it's still the same thing. You see what I'm saying? All right. So as you can see, he says, for as many, letting you know what color he was. I only brought that out so that you can understand what color he was. You say brass. Brass is like a penny. What color is a penny? Yes. To letting you know what Yahushua looked like. If you had any doubt, right? Okay. Go to 2 Timothy 1. Well, maybe, let me see. Make sure. Y'all with me so far? No, let's go past that. Go to Romans 12. Now, this right here. Letting you know who you're supposed to give service to. See, they want you to be, and Yahushua gonna tell you, right here in this one, when they break it down. Because remember, when we talked about, when he spoke to Nicodemus, Yahushua, he said that everyone had to be born again, right? Again. See, even that again does not mean a whole new way, but to reestablish an old way. That's what he was really saying. For instance, let's read 12, Romans 12 and 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yah, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto who? Yah, which is your reasonable what? So service to who? Yeah. Acceptable to only to who? Yeah. And it makes it very clear right here, too. And be not conformed to this world. Stop right there. Conformed. Because we talked about reformed, but have we talked about conformed? They mean two different things. Yahushua was telling us, when he spoke to Nicodemus, being born again was to be reformed. Remember that. And he tells us too right here, and be not what? Conformed to this world. Now, when he says conformed, then we got to go to the word con. C-O-N. Now, when we look at the word con, it means to be but still formed, right? Because we know it's going to be formed. You got one that's telling you to be reformed. That means go back and be what? Formed back to your original what? Self. Or you can be conformed. That means when that's formed, that means to become like what you what? See. That's what conformed means. To become like everybody else. But Yahushua tells you specifically, be not conformed to this world. Don't become like what? The people of what? This world. That's what he was telling you. See, that's the whole point of what, like, in the places that we are, that's the whole point of what you call institutions. See, institutions only got one thing and one thing only in their mind. Because institution represents a school. A school of what? A school of teaching. So an institution is nothing more but trying to get you to be conformed. They're trying to teach you to become like them. Why do you think they want you around them? Why do you think they want you around them? So they can conform you. So they can put in your head that you need to become. Okay, let me break it down to you. Y'all ain't never told you. Remember he said, Yahushua said, and Moses said, y'all made you perfect. So when y'all made you perfect, that means you got rest. That means you ain't never got to change ever again. That means perfect means whenever something is perfect, you don't tear that down, do you? And rebuild that because it's perfect now. Perfect means it's going to stand now. This is good. It's a wrap. We can seal the deal. It ain't going nowhere. This is now established peace. It's perfect. Meaning I don't have to touch it ever what? Again. Now all I can do is just look upon it because it's perfect. Right? So when y'all made you perfect, he never wanted you to be what?
Imperfect.
No, he never wanted you to change. Because once you're perfect, you don't have to what? Be torn down again. And reconstructed. Who tears down something that's perfect? So let me rebuild it again. Nigga, you just made it perfect. If it's perfect, you don't remake it again. It's perfect. That's what you were shooting for. Meaning that was what you were aiming for. And you finally accomplished it. And so once it is made perfect, you do not have to remake it again. So this is the problem. They get us here when we went into captivity. And what they're trying to do in the dark ages is take away that identity of who you are and then reconstruct you and turn you into what? Something new. But that's the thing. Y'all ain't looking for nothing new. That's what it said, but I will have mercy and not sacrifice. I'm not looking to make a new person. I want the old. I want that one I created at first and just want them to do what? Repent. And come back what? Home. Repent and come back what? Home. I'm not asking. If one of my children messed up and ran away, I don't want no new child. I just want that one that is my child to learn the error of their ways and what? Come back. I'm not looking to replace them. I'm not looking to change it all together. Well, that black child left, bring me in a white child. Okay, well, that I won't do right, give me a message. Puchita. Just say it. I'm just saying the Mexican way, right?
Show me your Mexican.
Puchita. So Yah's not looking to replace his children. He's not in the business of replacing his children. Right. Yah's not looking to replace his people. That's why he called them the bride. He's not looking to replace the bride with another set of people in a new way. So no. So that's why he says, so do be not conformed to this world, but be ye what? Transformed by the what? Renewing of your mind. So when it says renewing, is to what? He's not telling you I want a new mind. He says a what? Renew. What does the renew mean? The original mind. I want the original back. I just want the original back. That's what you're going to learn about y'all. Y'all see that my word goes out and it don't come back what? Void. So he doesn't change his mind. He doesn't say, well, that don't do right. Okay, give me another one. No, y'all would just say, no, just make them learn what they got to learn. And then once they clean the prodigal son, then bring them what? Bring them back. But I ain't going to never do away with them. That we say I never leave what? Nor forsake them. That's what it meant. I'm not going to change my mind and say, nah, you know what, I want somebody else. No, I still want my people. I know they didn't got themselves in a bunch, but we're going to get that right and we're going to have mercy on them and we're going to bring them back. That's it. There is no difference and there is no change. Okay? And he said, the renewing of your mind that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yah. You see that? Yah's not changing. Yah's not going to redo it. Yah ain't throwing nobody away to restart something different. None of that stuff. Go to 2 Corinthians 3. Mm-hmm. Listen here. Do we begin to commend ourselves, or need we, as some others, epistles of commendations to you, or letters of commendations from you? Meaning, do we need your approval on anything? And at this point, he's talking to the heathens. Do I need your approval? And those prideful, Israelites that think they, y'all ain't gonna bring them back into the fold. No way, no how. He said, but do we need y'all approval of anything? You are our epistles written in our hearts, known and read of all men. Now, the word epistle is such a great, great word, because y'all probably don't understand what the word epistle means. You got two versions. When you write, you either write a letter to someone or you write an epistle to someone. Now, the difference between a letter and an epistle, you're going to come to find out, is that a letter is normally vain. Because you can write a letter and say, to whom it may what? Concern. That means it don't matter who want it. I don't care really who read it. Just as long as somebody read it and answer it, right? So it's vain. It's just vague. It don't matter. But epistles is different because it's only written to a certain what? Person. You see that? It's not epistle. The word epistle means that it's not written for everybody. It's not for everybody. But a letter is what? Can be written what? Yeah, for anyone. That's the difference. That's why I call it the gospel, because it's not written to everyone. Yahushua and Paul, even right here, is not speaking to everyone. That's why I use the word epistle. He could have put a letter there, right? You are the letter written in our hearts. Why he didn't use the word letter? Because he knows that letter means what? To anybody. Anyone can grab this. See, that's what they did. For God so loved the world and made it that it was speaking to everybody, when he's telling you clearly in an epistle, it's not speaking to what? To everybody. 3, for as much as you are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Yahushua, ministered by us. See, that meaning ministered by us, meaning we was doing everything we was doing for you. Ministered. We did all this for you. Written not with ink, but with the spirit of the living Yah, not in tablets of stone, but in the fleshly tablets of the heart. That's how he was going to find who we needed to find, because it was going to be written where? Yeah. See, it's going to be from the heart. Those are going to know who we talking to. Because your heart going to what? Confirm it. And such trust have we through Yahushua to Yahweh. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything as of ourselves, but our sufficiency is of Yah, right? But also have made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter. See, that's why he made it clear. Not of the what? It's not about, see, it's not of a letter because a letter is broad. It speaks to everyone. Anyone can jump in there and say, oh, he's talking about me too. How you know that they talking about anybody? Because at first, when they said they was going to do, they was going to help the poor people, they made it specific and said we was going to help black people, right? But then they changed the word black and they took away the word black and start calling them what? Minorities. And when you put that such a word, now any and everybody is included, making it no longer specific to whom it was supposed to reach. See, all you got to do is change the language around. That's why I say be careful of the word people. Who? See, when they use the word minorities mean, let me show you what a minority means. That's why I'm not of the minority. Tell you what minority means if you didn't know. That's why it's a very tricky word. Minority means a person who cannot do for themselves, who cannot think for themselves, who cannot wash their own butts without supervision, who can't do anything without it has to get, some sort of supervision and managed and micromanaged. That is what the word minority comes from because it's the root word of a minor. And when you are a minor, according to being a minor from an adult, every minor needs what? Supervision. So that meant you could never make your own choices. You could not make your own beds. You couldn't eat what you wanted. Someone had to tell you everything you can and cannot have and cannot do. Because you're not able. They're telling you that you are so dysfunctional that you're not able to make none of these clear choices for yourself. So when they put you in a class called minorities, that made it very easy for them to rule over you. Because if you're not a master, then you are a minority. And that's why, though you own it all, they treat you as a child. That you can't have no rights to it until we think you are good enough to control it. So that meant the whole world is yours, but they said, but now we will babysit them first. We will watch over them first. We will make sure they understand what they need to do and how to manage things. We will make sure, and that's what they treat you as, right? See, all they have to do is change around the lingo. I told you the devil is very cunning. So when he uses the word minority, he put you in a lowercase and put himself as a what? An uppercase. Calling himself Mr. or Master, which is the same word. Master and Mr. is the same word. So he calls himself Master over you or Magistrate, meaning the one who makes all your laws and all your decisions for you like a judge. And you are just nothing more but a public servant. Because you need to be told what to do. You need to be told how to act. You need to be told how to what laws is and how to abide by them. You need to be told what your identity is. You need to be given what we consider as your what? Identity. And that's where you are. That's why I say not of the letter, but of the spirit. For the letter does what? 6. The letter does what? Killeth. Why does the letter kill? Because it makes everything what? What does letters do? Makes everything what? broad, uncertain, of no true end, not speaking to anyone in particular, random, very random. And that's why the letter kills, because it doesn't make nothing for certain. It gives you no certain future. It gives you no true identity because it's just putting you amongst what?
Yeah.
Right. When you are clearly, they say that they have to teach you law, teach you who you are. But that's the difference between law. That's why Yah says we're not under that law. Why? Because when you went to Yahushua, Yahushua taught you law, meaning he taught you an identity. So you don't have to be retaught. You're not of those who have to be relearn something. They can't conform you and teach you something new. Because Yah didn't tell you that you needed to receive anything what? New. So they can't tell you that you can't, we gotta be over your finances. We have to be over this and we have to be over that. Because like Wendy Williams, you're no longer able to function and we have to control whatever you got going on. We'll manage it. And we'll just dope you up somewhere and we'll manage your livelihood. See, this is called the sick bed. Now, Yah gave you an identity. That means you're not learning to become something new. You don't need a new teaching. You don't need a new law. Because you already have a what? A law within you. See, minority means, remember he said, people who don't know no better. That means people who don't have a what? A law. That's why we have to teach them. We got to watch over them. We got to babysit them because they don't have a what? Minority means you can't think for yourself. You are dysfunctional. You are disabled because you don't have a law in you. And because you don't have a law in you, we got to make your law. And because of that, we decide everything for you. But through Yahushua, he told you to stand upright and walk. Walk in your integrity, walk in your identity. And he never told you that you needed no new, because he told you it was already what? Perfect. You don't need a new teaching. See, the institutions are to try to teach you something new. That's why it trips me out when they think that that's what they finna to do. Because y'all already put in me that how can they teach you something when they beneath you? How can they teach you how to be something new? What can they teach you? Not that I have already taught you. Meaning, remember I told you home training about courtesy and manners and stuff? You see, y'all already taught us that. So I don't need that. You can't teach me that. And they know it. So they try to figure out other new ways to try to figure like, well, you still need some more. What teaching do I need from any one of y'all? What can you teach me? Because they can't teach you how to be a man. Y'all taught me that. They can't teach me manners because y'all taught me that. They can't teach me courtesy because y'all taught me that. They can't teach me respect because y'all taught me what respect is and who to what? Respect. Meaning, who do I fear? So with that, what else can they teach me? Nothing. And so you have to understand that's what's called identity. When there's nothing they can teach you. Because you're not conforming to a new way of being something. You just have to remember who you what are. It's all there. It's all within. They're not teaching you nothing. How can they walk around every day like you need to learn something? What do you need to learn that'll make me greater? And they don't have that teaching in them. That's what y'all say. You have a law. Minorities are those who don't have a law. There's no light in them. Light means law. They don't have it in them. They don't know how to be. They have no identity. That's why they still in the what? The dark. About who they are. Why they looking to try to conform you. He says, 7. But the ministration of death written and engraved in stones was glorious, so that the children of Israel could not even steadfast behold the face of who? Moses. For the glory of his countenance was glory was to be done away with. Now, repeat this. How shall not the ministration of the Spirit be rather glorious? For if the ministration of condemnation be glory, much more than the ministration of righteousness or restoring excel in glory. It's better to restore them than to try to sacrifice them to other people's teachings. See, that's what they're trying to sacrifice you to. Like being in them institutions, they're trying to train you different from what you already know. That's why they want you there. It's like another class that they think they're going to train you in. So that's why they got to put you to work so they can try to play these games with you to try to ask you questions about who you are. You sure that's who you is? But in the comfort of work. That's why they need that environment. They don't want to come to your environment, but they need you in their environment where they can play the games of trying to conform you. They know who you are. They know what you're supposed to be, but they trying to still want to see if they can turn you. Can we turn you? Right? He says, for if that which is done away with was glorious, much more than that which remained is glorious. He says it here, seeing then that we have such a hope, we use great plainness of speech, meaning identity. And not as Moses. See, now I'm going to be very clear what's going to happen right here. This is what's called the Dark Ages. Listen. And not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is what? Embodies. Because what did Moses do to his face? Did he cover his face? Remember that tarp I was talking about? And he says the people couldn't see the what? The end, could they? Meaning they had no what? Huh? No identity, so that meant they was losing what? Memory. Their memory and their future. When he said to the end, meaning they was not going to make it. When he covered it, letting them know this is going to be the end result. They were going to cover you and your identity was going to be taken. That's why Moses said, the end. Covered his face. Telling you the end of me will be that they was going to, everything I'm teaching you through these laws, they was going to take your what? And that's what happened, didn't it? He told them the future. And then you was going to be in a place where you didn't know your future because of uncertainty. You couldn't look at the end of it. Like what the end going to be. Nobody, are we going to make it? What are we becoming? He covered his face so they couldn't understand anymore what they was going to become. Meaning he put them in what? Darkness. And they didn't know. From that point on, like, okay, where we need to go, what we supposed to become, what
was the same.
Huh?
That was the same.
Yeah. And he said 14, but their minds were blinded. See, meaning now they became what? Distracted. Remember, blinded means to be what? Distracted. It's because it meant they weren't serving what? No. Whenever you're distracted, that's the one person you're not serving.
I thought you said not. You said now serving?
Yeah, who they now serving? Everybody, their mom and dad, cat, dog, whatever come around. I need to help that person. I need to go help that person. I need to go help that person. I need to help that dog. I need to help that cat. I need to help that roach. And it's like, y'all looking at you like, but when they gonna ever say, what they gonna come do what I need them to do? But that's us, right? We want to stretch ourselves thin to any and everybody who need our services. I'm on my way. Here I come. I'll be there in a second. I surely can't let you fall. I can't let you fall. I'm going to hold you up too. And you barely holding yourself. You got it yet? And y'all like, yeah, I see you down there 150 pounds trying to hold up that 500 pounder. Okay, do you? Do you? Because you swear you got to help everybody. That's what they told you. The letter is very broad, ain't it? Of who you supposed to help, ain't it? And you find yourself helping everybody, mama and devils. Devils are like, dang, this person good. They helped me out. I was almost in the bind there. But thank you. Now come here so I can get That's Israel. Israel helping in everybody. But that boy, they got a good heart, don't they, baby? They help them all. But good, bad, and ugly, they'll help. They don't know no quits on that. I mean, they out of gas. They can be pooped out there, just still jump up if the phone rings. I'm on my way. And that's what he says. And that's what the blindness is. For unto this day, see, even unto this very day, remain that same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in what? Who? Who gives you identity? Yahweh said it's done away with in Yahusha. Yahusha untakes the veil what? Off. So you can finally what? See what's going on. That you can see your future through your identity. He said, but unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is put upon their hearts. See, they blinded. Nevertheless, it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Now the Lord is that spirit, and where the spirit is, the Lord is, there is what? See, that's that migration. That's to come out of that dark ages into what? Liberty. Come into the what? The light of identity. That you may know who you are. Therefore, it's easier once you do know who you are, then it's easier for you to know who you're supposed to be helping. And then you begin to realize the wrong people you've been helping. And then you wonder why your life was such in turmoil. 18 said, but we all with open faces, beholding as in a glass the glory of Yah, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. See how you're changed? It's not telling you, that's the thing, Yah's not telling you to become something new. Not at all. He was never telling you to become something new. Watch this here though. Now, who was another person that put a veil over his face when he realized that he went wrong? But his future was uncertain. Michael Jackson. When he realized, what have I done? What have I done? It's that same veil. He put it over his face too. Because he didn't know the choices he made in life, that he listened to all of those heathens. He listened to every last one of them tell him how to be something new. He conformed. Mm-hmm. They told him, you need some plastic surgery. They told him, you can use this. You can use that. You can get your hair did this way. You can get your skin lightened right. And he did all those things and got conformed. To the point he had to wear a veil over his face. That now he lost his what? Identity. Yeah. He lost his identity. And that was the last thing he understood, that he didn't know what the world he had did.
He had no future.
He had no future. Even right now, is everything Mike ever had is given away. He has nothing. There is no legacy of Mike going on around here. No, nowhere. They took it all. Y'all talking about the other races. Took everything from him. He died horrible and alone. And ain't even getting no heaven. So yeah, minority. Almost done. Go to Galatians 4 so that you can understand. Now I say that the heir, or the one who's supposed to inherit the world, as long as he is a child, see, a minority, different nothing from a what? Public what? Though he be Lord of all. See, you supposed to be Lord of all through your identity, but instead you became a minority. Sad. And two, but it's under tutors, see? Teachers. What are tutors? See, institutions trying to what? Conform you. And governors until the appointed time of what? The Father. Even so we, when we were children, were in bondage under the elements of the world. You see, but when the fullness of time was come, Yah sent his son, made of a woman, made under that law too, to redeem them that were under law, that he might receive the adoptions of sons. And because you are sons, God has sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying what? Abba, Father. Wherefore there are no more a servant, but a what? A child of Yah. And if you are a son, then a heir of Yah through Yahushua. And howbeit then, when you knew not Yah, see, you did service unto them which were by nature are no what? Or no God, public what? Servant. But now after you know Yah, or rather are known of Yah, how turn you again to these weak and beggarly elements, whereunto you desire again to be in bondage? See, right there. Not understanding, when you are a minority or a public servant or a publican, yeah, they control everything you do. And they controlling your inheritance, meaning your estates. Basically, it's like when you're a child star, how your parents got control over all your money and stuff, and you can't have none of your stuff until they see fit, until you turn a certain age. That's what y'all saying right here. Though y'all be possessors of this earth and this world, because of your identity, because you don't know your identity, that's why they holding the world from you. Because you don't know your identity. You see that there?
So true.
Mm-hmm. Go to 1 Corinthians 9 right quick. Let me see what time I right there. I think that's the one I was thinking about. Mm-hmm. Yes, go down to 19. 1 Corinthians 9 and 19. You see, for though I be free from all men. See, this is when you're under the law of liberty. See, when you're under the law of Yahushua, you do know your what? Identity. You do know who you are. And that's why he's going to say it right here. Yet have I made myself a servant unto all. Not all, but to all of what? Israel. That I might gain them all. And unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. And to them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that were under the law. You see that? And to them that are without law, as without law too. But I love how he put that in parentheses, saying, but being not without law to Yah, but under the law to you, what? Yahushua, that I might gain them that are without what? Law. So stop right there. He's talking about, though I'm in the land of the lost, I still maintain what? My what? My law. See, this is the thing. They conforming is to try to make you conform to their law, like as if you never had a what?
A law.
Exactly. He's telling you, Yah, you never change your law if you already have a what? A law. Exactly. If you have a law, you stick to that law. You don't change your law. Go to Romans 7 so that you can understand the law. He refers the law as a marriage. That's why he calls himself the bride. What? The bridegroom. Know you not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law. Watch how you hear them. How that the law have dominion over a man as long as he what? Live. You see that? The law has dominion over a man as long as he lives. For the woman which has a husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth, right? But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her what? Husband. So then if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress, right? But if her husband be dead, she is free from that what? Law. So that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man, right? So wherefore, my brethren, you also have become dead to the law by the body of who? By the bride of who? Yahusha. That you should be married what? To another, even to him who was raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto Yah. You see that? Right. For when you were in the flesh, the motions of sin, which were by the law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death. But now we are delivered from the law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in the newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the what? Why? It's the old. When we talk about the old, what is the old? Why y'all call it the old? Because it's going to be what? It's going to be done away with. Exactly. So one thing that Yah was establishing right here is that if you have a law, there's no way possible that you can be married to another law at the same exact what? Time. He considers it like a husband. He said, how you going to be married to a husband and then try to go and marry another husband? He said, you will be called a what at that point? An adulteress if you try to go start serving a new law. When you already have an established law that's still living, right? And you cannot depart from your husband, meaning you cannot depart from your law because Yah created you with a what in you? A law. A law that was already created in you. Exactly. So let's go into this. Go to Psalm 78 and 5. You cannot take a new law if you're already under what? A law. So are we under the law of Yahushua? Yes. Is he still alive? Yes. Yeah. So he said if he's not dead, you can't marry somebody until the first husband has to be what? Dead before you can move on. But we know that Yahushua lives how long? Forever. So that means you can never come from under that to go serve in a whole new confounded way to be something else. No, you can't. So go to 78 and 5. Listen to this. See it right there. For he has established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in what? Israel, which he commanded our fathers that we should make them known to their what? Children. See, there you go. That the generations to come might know them too, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in who? Yah, and not forget the works of Yah, but keep his what? Commands. See, that's what he's telling you. Israel has a law. You can't give them a new law if they already under a law, which is Yah is our what? Law. Okay. Go to Isaiah 54, 1 through 5. Watch this here. He says, sing, O barren, that thou didst not bear. Break forth into singing and cry loud, thou that didst not travail with child. See, for more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married what? Wife, says Yah. Talking about the ones who already are married to a law. See, these children, the desolate, don't have no what? No law. That's the whole what he's telling you. They don't have a law. That's why he said others sing, O barren, that didst not bear. Right? He says, so enlarge the place of your tents, and let them stretch out the curtains and thy inhabitants. Spare not, lengthen thy cords and strengthen thy stakes. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make the desolate cities to be what? Inhabited. What are the desolate cities? Well, Yah kicked you out of your what? Your land. It became what? Desolate cities. But he said, now I want you to what? Inhabit those lands. Meaning your laws. Give you back your what?
Identity.
Your identity, exactly. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou what? Confounded. Because men, they were trying to what? Conform you. So that's the word confounded. Because once you become conform, you will be then what? Confounded. For thou shalt not be put to what? Shame. Exactly. Mean a public servant. For thou shalt not forget the shame of your youth, and shall not remember the reproach of your widowhood, what? Anymore. And 5. Very important. For thy maker is thy what? So that meant you under law. And who is your maker?
Yeah.
Exactly. Is your husband of law. The Lord of hosts is his name, the Redeemer of the Holy One of Israel. The God of the whole earth shall he be called. For the Lord hath called you as a woman forsaken. See? Like a woman that was cast out, like when her husband get mad, get on out of here for a moment. But he says, forsaken and grieved in spirit, a wife of youth, when thou was refused, says Yah. But for a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I what? Gather you back. Look, in a little wrath I hid my face from you for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on you, says Yah, your what? Redeemer. You see that right there. He would never left you, and Yah is your what? Your husband. Okay, go to Isaiah 50 since you there. Listen to this. This says the Lord, where is the bill of your mother's divorce? See, when did I what?
Divorce.
When did I divorce you? When? That you can go serve another what? Law. Or a husband. When? That's what he asked. When?
Yeah.
So that meant y'all still have a law, an identity. That's what he's telling you. As long as you have law, you have what? Identity. Because the law is, because your laws is how you're supposed to live every day, right? According to your laws, and you don't break the what? You don't break the law. Exactly. So you have a law, and that law keeps your what? Identity. Whom have I put away? Which of my creditors is it to whom I have sold you to? Meaning, who did I sell you to that told you they can, create new laws for you? Who? Did I sell you to somebody? But he said, for your iniquities have you sold what? Yourself. See, you did yourself like that. Following after everybody. For your transgressions is your mother put away. See that? Yah says, I never divorced y'all. I never put you away. So y'all still have an identity through Yah. I never cast you away and say you're no longer a people. Right? Go to 1 John 2. That's why I love it when he said it. Now look here, look at this here. Okay. Start from 3. And hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his what? Commandments. Because it's really for your identity, the reason why you keep them. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments is a what? And the truth is what? Yeah, because you ain't got no future if you don't keep the, meaning because you don't have no identity. That's what's going to make you a liar. Liars don't have a what? Identity. That's why they lie and act like I'm a Jew. I'm a Hebrew. You see some white people getting dreads and stuff. Yeah, that's why they get them. I'm one of them. But whosoever keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of Yah what? He's perfect. Hereby know that we are in him because we keep it. That's what he's telling you. We keep our what? Identity, and it's perfect. That's what he's telling you. The identity Yah gave us was what? Perfect. It never needed to be revamped. It didn't need to be, redid, restructured. None of those things. He that said he abide in him ought also to what? Walk, even as he walks. Remember when he told him to get up his bed and what? Walk. That's what he telling you to walk how? As who? Yahushua. That's what he means to walk in your what? Identity. To walk in your identity. Brethren, listen, most importantly, I wrote what? No new what? Now stress that word new. Because a lot of y'all, that's where y'all go wrong at. He said, I wrote no what? New commandment. So there is no new one. There is nothing new. I'm never telling you to become something new. Y'all will tell you when he's talking about that change, he wanted you to repent and go back to your original what? Selves. Not to become something brand new out here. I know what she said. And I know y'all like it too when she said it. Tear me out the plastic because I'm acting brand new. I know. But how it go?
Rip me out.
Yeah. Rip me out the plastic because I'm brand new. We no. But you know what song I'm talking about, right? Rip me out the plastic, right? Yeah. Right. But he says, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old. See? Even all the way in the New Testament, he said, but I'm only writing to you what? An old commandment, which you had from what?
The beginning.
The old commandment is the word which you have heard from what? The beginning. I never gave you, again, a new commandment I write to you, which things is true in him and in you, because the darkness is what? See, that's that darkness. And the true light now what? See? As you can see. I love it. And he says, but he that says he's in the light and hated his brother is in what? Darkness, even until now. See? And why he said to hate your brother? You know what he means to hate him? It's to not tell him the what?
The truth.
About who he really is. That is to hate. Because that's not restoring. When we told Yah, said you must what? What is the law of Yah? Righteousness and what?
Restore.
To restore. Even restore means to bring it back to what it used to be, its former glory. I'm not telling you to make something brand new. That means to give them a whole new identity. I never told you to do that. Never told you to do that. So you got to be careful of people that's trying to turn you to something new. See, anybody that's trying to make you become your original self, them you can hear. But you can never hear anyone that's trying to turn you into something what?
No.
New. Beware of them. They are deceivers. And now, I love this right here. 12. Because remember, that's still that epistle and not a letter. Read. He says, I write unto you, little children, because your sins are forgiven you for his name's sake. So Yah has forgiven you. If you ever were listening to the wrong people and they ever try to turn you into something, you're what? Yeah. You're not. So if you got any friends or any so-called friends, I would call them now at this point, they're trying to turn you into something you know you're not, then you know to disband from them. And he says, I write to you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the what? Beginning. See? I write to you, young men, because you have overcome now who? The wicked ones who've been trying to what to you? Change you. I write unto you, little children, because you have known who? The Father. See, you know who he is. It's in your heart. He's always taught you who you were. You just have to keep your identity. Don't let this world turn you into something you're what? You're not. I have written to you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I have written unto you. See, these are the ones he's telling you he's writing to. Young men, because you are strong now. And the word of Yah abide where? In you. See, you have that law in you. And you have overcome now what?
the wicked one, to understand. Stay in your what? Identity. Love not the world, what 15 says. Love not what? Neither the things that are what? In the world. Be not conformed. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is what? See? Yeah. You will lose your what? For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and they lusting to turn your flesh into something else. The lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world, right? And the world is what? Passing away, and the lust thereof. But he that do the will of the Yah abideth what? Little children. Now, it is the last time, and as you have heard, the Antichrist shall come. Even now there are many Antichrists. This is whereby we know that it is the last times. Because they went out from us, see? And they became something what? It's just like a black man who left from amongst us and went and became gay. You know what I mean? That's what he meant. Now you're starting to see those who left from amongst us and became what? Something else. And when you see them now, understand that these are the ones that God's telling you to stay away from. That would mean people that have been sold, they what? That's what the selling of the soul meant. Trying to convert you, to trying to see if they can get you to join them and trying to seduce you. But I'm telling you, keep your identity. For Yah in due season is going to come and give you back your inheritance, because you will no longer be considered a minority. Minority is the only people who don't have no what? No law or identity. We are not the minorities. How do you know? Watch this here. Go to Ezekiel 36. We're almost done. He says, also thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel and say, you mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord Yah, because the enemies have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. See, the ancient high places. See, this is stuff that was written where? In the beginning. Why they call it ancient. So your ancient identity, they tried to steal it into their what? Possessions. Therefore prophesy and say, thus says Lord Yah, because they have made you what? Desolate, by telling you to get out of your land, and swallowed you up on every side, that you might be a possession unto the residue of the heathens, a public what? Servant. And that you were taken up in the lips of talkers and are an infamy of the people. Therefore, you mountains of Israel, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord Yah, to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the rivers, and to the valleys, and to the desolate wastes, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey, see, and a derision to the residue of the heathens that are round about them. Talking about us. Therefore, thus says Yah, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against all of those nations and residue of those heathens, and against all of who? Idumea. Who's Idumea? Edom. Which have appointed my land into their possessions with the joy of all their heart, and with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey, meaning for anybody to have free course. Public servant. That's what prey means. You're now what? Public what?
Sure.
And it says with a despiteful mind. Why do you think he said they did it with a despiteful mind? Because they sinned. In despite of them knowing that you had a law. In despite of them knowing you were Yah's people, they still took you into what? Captivity, and then try to force a new what? On you. That's what he means with a despiteful mind. In despite of who we were, that we are not what? Minorities. That we do know how to think for our what? Selves. That we do know how to take care of our own people. But with a despiteful mind, you treated us as if we don't know no better. We need to be civilized. We need to be taught. Taught what? And by who? Because we are taught by Yah, Yahushua. We have teachers. Teachers of history. Our history. Our identity. We have prophets. We have preachers. We have governors. And we don't need them telling us what? Anything or overseeing us as if we don't know how to handle ourselves. Because they're never appointed over us because we don't need no change of nothing. We never did. But it will come time when Yah will restore all of those things back to establish to them so that they will always know that you can't change what, you can't curse what I haven't what? Curse. And you can't bless what I have. He said, you can't curse what I have already blessed, and you can't bless what I have already what? Cursed. I have not cursed my people. I have not given them over to you to do whatever you want and retrain them in your ways. But I have made them their own people. They have an identity. So the goal is to relearn your identity. Learn who you are. Study, seek that out. And trust me, what you will become and what you will see, your future will be clear. That's all it ever took. And Yah is now giving you back your identity in the land of your captivity. And that's going to make them very afraid of you. Because they know there's nothing that they can teach a person like you. And then only just showing them clearly that you have a law. And you don't have to be reformed or retaught or broken down and rebuilt up, because that process has already happened. By who? Yeah. Don't need you to do nothing else. That's what he says. You can't add nothing to it or what? Or take nothing away from it. It's already perfect. You know it's perfect. That's what makes you jealous. You rather it downplay itself than be what it is. And that's not what Yah is in the business of doing. He's no longer going to make you downplay your identity of who you are. They know you walk with a law. They know it. Because you have a discipline unto your own self that man cannot teach. That's why they know they can't. You have a way about you that they can't be taught. Because only who teaches that? Yeah. Which they like to call swag, but you already have it. They can't teach you that. We know that. That's what they call us, the salt of the what? Salt of the earth. You can't teach. These things is already in us. Because salt is ancient. It's a mineral. You can't teach that. That's just in them. Y'all put that in us. So never let nobody try to tell you who you are when you know who you were. But if you needed to know who you are, you best to what? Pray. And Yah will reveal all things to you and bring you some very good teachers of your history. All you gotta do is pray. If you feel like you need more to learn, trust me, Yah will bring it to you. As much as you're ready to learn of yourself. The more you know, the more power you have. But remember, like you said in Galatians, but if you act like a child, they're gonna what? Exactly. Treat you like a child, meaning a person that don't know who they are. But once they see that you carry yourself in a way that you do know who you are, then that alone will command the respect of Yah, which no one can argue with, much as they want to. But what can they say? What can they do? How can we teach you something that you already know? I mean, it's things that you don't know. Those are things they can probably try to teach you. But your identity, they can't teach you that. No race can. You hear me? No race. Mexicans can't teach you who you are. That's why he told you the preacher had to be Hebrew from the first place. That's when you begin to understand, oh, I get it now. How can another race teach me who I am? They ain't gonna do nothing but lie to you. And you say they're gonna be found to be what? Liars, right? Exactly. Because they ain't gonna tell you. Because they know with that means they gotta step down. And they ain't trying to do that, is they? So they surely ain't gonna try. That's why they have. You gotta understand how much you really mean an identity when someone gotta lock your identity in a vote. Think about that for a second.
Sure.
If they locked your identity in a vote, now you begin to understand how much identity is more priceless than anything out here. You normally would think people put money and treasures in a vote, right? So why would your identity be in there too? Because it may be more worth than that money in there.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And they know it. So begin to understand these things. Learn your identity. And trust me, you'll never fail. And Yah won't fail you. And Yah is bringing us back to whom we are and whom we once were in the land of captivity. And that's why you have to walk in your faith and never be scared and never fear. Because Yah got you. This is the change Yah wants. And trust me, it's going to happen with you or what? Or without you. But it's going to take place. So it's better to be on the right side of it, right? Which I know we all want to be on the right side of it because it's for us. And it's not against us. So we receive it. And we say, thank you, Yah, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that, that's going to conclude our family day. And I needed y'all just to understand it. That's what it means. So now you know to migrate from Babylon. That's why he always told you, come ye out from what? Amongst them. That's what as a public servant, you no longer serving them. Migrate from that to migrate to who? Yah and Yah's people. Those who you need to be more amongst than worrying about being amongst them. That's why they choose you to be amongst them. For the conforming of you. That's why they call those places institutions. Like the school you go to is an institution. They don't want you to be around your people. They want you to be around them so it's easier for them to conform you that way. But come ye out what? From amongst them. And walk your path. Walk in your identity of who you are. You are a child of Yah. The gospel was written for you. The book was made for you. It's your history. Learn your history. And then you will learn your future. Because your future is connected to your history. Can't have one without the other. If you don't know your history, then you're blinded about what you're about to face. That's why Yahushua say at that point, Yah comes as a thief, what? Mm-hmm. And who he coming for? His people. Mm-hmm. While you sitting there in the dark and I don't know what's going on. Because you said, I'm not one of them. I'm just a nigga. Well, you can be that nigga. But the children of Israel are going to be up out of there because they know who they are. And they know one thing. They ain't know what? They ain't no nigga. That's one of them conformity words they want you to sit in. But learn what you are not and who you are, okay? So with that, we'll conclude our family day and let's pray.